there's been some wobbling, which is apparently what happens in the third week of any war. Is that not right, Boris?
There has been a bit of wobbling, yes. There's been a bit of wobbling, but not in the Spectator, and nor indeed in the ranks of the Conservative Party.
No.
No.
I thought Duncan Smith had a wobble this week.
No, there was the Conservative. Well, the Conservative Party remains foursquare behind the policy of blowing up the Taliban, trying to remove. It's not a frivolous matter, and trying to remove Osama bin Laden's Al Qaeda network. I think the question that we're asking is simply how are we going to do it. Most people think it's perplexing that we haven't yet ousted the Taliban. They're worried that we're not going to. But the fact is, it's going to be a tough one. We've got to stick with it. So I think a lot of people would agree with that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, it's hardly a round of applause, but
there was more than a smattering.
There was 8.
Yeah.
I think for any Tory speech that counts as a round.
Yes.
I think you put me.
You see, Boris, that's what clapping sounds like.
All right.
Famous old boy of St Cat's, Cambridge.
It's Jeremy Paxman.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a mate of yours, isn't he?
He is. Well, no, up to a point. I mean, up to a point.
That sounded like a wobble.
I wouldn't want to presume to. He's a very, very good chap. In fact, he appears in a book I've written, which, quite by an extraordinary coincidence, I have. I had a very interesting encounter with Paxman. Well, yeah, there you go.
He followed you around on the election trail.
That's right. Yeah.
But isn't it because he was writing his book? And his book seems to be about the pointlessness of politicians. So why do you think he chose to follow you around?
Lady Mansfield lay across the bed. The moonlight shimmering across her silken breasts. It's a bit dirty, this, isn't it, Boris?
Can I have a look at it?
Yeah, do.
I can't help noticing that on the cover it seems to say Jottings on the Stump.
Yes.
Which is the subtitle. And yet when you turn to the inside it says Jottings from the Stump.
Do you want to know the honest truth?
What's that?
They produced the jacket before I'd written the book. That's the.
I must have. It was going to be you who's going to write it.
I must have forgotten what the title was.
I suppose at some stage we ought to get back to the original question. I wish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really sorry. Thanks, sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
Who was that?
Ian Duncan Smith. It said, "You're fired, Boris."
I'm terribly sorry.
No, but you could have taken the call if you wanted to.
Did you say I can't speak now? I'm on television at the moment.
That was what I said.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, well covered. Excellent. So there were two... sorry to interrupt your call, but there were two... very outspoken about MPs, haven't you? You said it's absolutely crucial that they live in their constituency.
Yes.
Yes.
A bit easier saying that about Oxfordshire, though, isn't it?
It is.
But you were complaining that it was the most expensive and desirable location in England.
I wasn't complaining. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing about it.
Right.
It produces problems if you're, trying
Buying
to buy
a
a house there on a not very enormous income. And that's why I'm appearing on this.
To help pay your mortgage? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Is this why you've held down 2 jobs as well? Because I was going to ask you, are you a part-time editor or part-time MP?
Well, very good question. I'm very glad you asked that question.
That's an MP's answer.
You're saying politics. Yeah. Very, very good. I've devolved some of my functions.
I'm sorry to hear that.
As editor, I've devolved some of my functions as editor to some people who are actually here tonight. Like my secretary, I can't see her. Oh, there she is. There she is. She basically does most of it nowadays.
Right.
Does she get paid the editor's wage?
Well, no.
So what rare distinction does Sean Woodward revel in?
Well, he defected.
He was parachuted into a safe seat by both parties, by Labour and by the Tories when he was a Tory. He got given the seat of Witney in Oxfordshire, didn't he? Which is not something that anyone could accuse you of course. You weren't given a safe seat at all. It must have been a nightmare trying to persuade people
Ignore
who live in Henley upon Thames.
We don't have to talk to people like that.
I wasn't given a safe seat. No, not at all.
No.
What, Henley?
I wasn't.
There's no such thing as a safe Tory seat.
No, well, absolutely. No, there certainly isn't. And I intend to fight Henley extremely hard over the next
What happened
4
to
years.
the majority that Heseltine had? Did you gain or did you go down a bit?
I'm afraid to say that the majority fell. I held exactly the same share of the vote as Michael Heseltine. So there you go.
Do you think one of your problems might have been the election leaflets that you published, complaining of Labour's deteriorating pubic services?
I don't think those did us any substantial damage.
It is the revelation that...
Yeah. Well, you see, that's the trouble having two people as leader of the opposition. They can't agree with each other.
What is this thing about them being two people? What's this?
Ian and Duncan Smith. It's the first time identical twins have ever led a major Conservative party.
I see, it's a conceit.
Yes.
It's a conceit, Boris.
Do you know what his favourite catchphrase is, Ian Duncan Smith?
After you, Ian. No, after you, Duncan.
No, his favourite catchphrase, Boris, is they don't like it, they do not like it. Is that true, Boris?
You seem to know an awful lot about this. It's the first
Do
time
you not know very much about your leader?
No, I do. I'm happy to say there was a very
It
important...
strikes me you didn't know there was two of them. So, how much you know is really an up to you question.
You claim you know a lot about your leader. I think we should probably put you to the test. Your name, please?
Is it your specialist subject?
My name's Boris Johnson.
No, it is in fact Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson. Isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
And your occupation, Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson?
I'm a member of Parliament.
Well, we'll gloss over that one. Your specialist subject is Ian Duncan Smith, whether you like it or not, and your time starts now. What is Ian Duncan Smith?
Do I have to do this?
Yes.
What is
Ian
I've never seen this on this show before.
What is Ian Duncan Smith?
Am I allowed to ask the audience if I don't know?
You can phone a friend if you got one.
Well, a friend's just phone him.
Or ask your secretary.
What is Ian Duncan Smith's first name?
Don't ask silly.
George is his first name.
There's three of them.
What percentage of Ian Duncan Smith is Japanese?
1/8.
What percentage?
I'm sorry. Oh my God.
No, 12.5% is the answer.
Yes.
What did Ian Duncan Smith drop in 1992?
His testicles.
His hyphen is the answer. What did he do in the House of Commons canteen in June this year when staff told him it was too early to buy breakfast?
What is such a trivial question? How am I supposed to know the answer to this ridiculous question? This is an insult.
I'm sorry, it's your leader. You should know about these things. He threw his tray in the air and stormed out, apparently.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
Yeah, yes, no, it's gospel. And finally, which Hollywood actress once propositioned his father?
Betty Grable.
Is the wrong answer. It's Marilyn Monroe. And at the end of that, Mr. Johnson, you've scored no points.
Well, I think it was there. Oh, dear.
They probably won't use that.
I don't think they will.
No, they won't. No, but that'll be cut out.
I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no entertainment value in that. Moving on.
Yeah. And finally, Ian, what do you do with your trees? You like to crush cars, don't you?
Absolutely true. Yes, I'd forgotten that. Yes, I had a tree which fell down.
And crushed a car?
It did 2 cars, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
Were either of them yours?
no, they weren't. No, they weren't.
Tree was, car wasn't.
You have the position exactly.
Is there an insurance claim on this?
There is.
Do you want to
But
phone
I
a friend?
promise you, this tree was... There was absolutely nothing wrong with this tree. It had a huge amount of leaves growing off it.
Right.
There was no reason whatsoever to suppose it would suddenly fall down.
Is this the diseased ash at your London home?